Big statement really coming in from the Israeli Defense Forces where they claim that just like the Hamas, Hezbollah too had plans to carry out yet another October 7th style massacre. Hezbollah in fact planned a rerun of the October 7th style massacre. This is an admission made by the IDF. Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari, who spoke to the media a short while back, has made this big disclosure. This at a time when limited invasion being carried out by Israel on the northern border. In fact, Israel a while back maintained that the operation is still underway. Even after the killing of Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah, Israel essentially indicating that the entire military infrastructure of Hezbollah is yet to be completely decimated. We'll try and play out that response coming in from the IDF, where they're making this big disclosure about Hezbollah's plan to conquer the Galilee. In fact, this was another attempt that was made 7th of October style massacre. This is what the Israeli Defense Force had to say a short while back.
On October 8th, the Hezbollah terrorist organization in Lebanon launched an unprovoked attack on Israel. Hezbollah chose to join the war that Hamas started on October 7th with their brutal massacre in southern Israel. Since then, Hezbollah has fired over 9,500 rockets at Israeli homes, families, and communities, forcing 60,000 Israelis to evacuate their homes. Hezbollah has openly declared that it plans to carry out its own October 7th massacre on Israel's northern border, but on an even larger scale. They call this plan Conquer the Galilee. For years, Hezbollah has been planning to do in northern Israel what Hamas did in southern Israel on October 7th: invade Israel, infiltrate civilian communities, and massacre innocent civilians.
In fact, let's take you through the latest images now coming in from Beirut. What you see right now on your screens as we speak, yet another precision strike was actually carried out by the Israeli Defense Forces. A confirmation now coming in, smoke billowing out from central Beirut, where the attacks were basically carried out. In a short while from now, Republic reporter Ali Hamosh is going to get us the latest report from Beirut. The precision strikes that have been carried out over the last few hours indicating that once again Israeli Defense Forces trying to target the Hezbollah units operating out of Lebanon. In fact, this is what the IDF had to say, while sirens have been sounded out in various parts of Israel too. But having said that, this is what they say, that sirens were sounded out in Western Galilee area. This is after a projectile that had crossed from Lebanon and was successfully intercepted. In fact, sirens have been sounded off in Upper Galilee, Western Galilee, Central Galilee, and projectiles have been intercepted across the border. As we speak, the IDF, in fact, has conducted a precision strike in Beirut. We'll also take you through that admission that has been made by the IDF. This is a big disclosure now currently coming in from the IDF, where they maintain that the Hezbollah was in fact planning to carry out a rerun of the October 7th attack, which was carried out by the Hamas. In fact, let's take you through the breaking news now coming in. IDF once again has conducted a precision strike in Beirut. Let's go back to those visuals that we were showing right now as we keep the breaking news. That's the latest visual coming in from central Beirut, what you see right now on your screens, as a confirmation came in just about 6 minutes ago from the Israeli Defense Forces that they have now carried out a precision strike. Remember, in the last 48 hours or so, multiple attacks have been carried out by the Israeli Defense Forces. What is also important to point out here is the fact that the target of the Israeli Defense Forces, particularly being the military setup of the Hezbollah. What you see on your screens, these were images that came in a while back when the precision strikes were carried out at the heart of Beirut city. There's been large-scale devastation that has actually taken place. If you go by the claims that have been made by the Lebanese authorities, they say that over 1,000 people have been injured and killed in the strikes that have been carried out by the Israeli Defense Forces, and this is right at the heart of the city. While they also make a claim that this is not just the Hezbollah, targets, but also civilian areas have come under fire. In fact, this is what the Lebanese authorities have to say. We'll try and also get you latest report coming in from Beirut, a reporter on the ground taking you through all the details, claims and counterclaims. Of course, there have been psyops that are also taking place. Israelis essentially want everyone to believe that the targets that have been carried out, they're only Hezbollah targets, but there has been a collateral damage that has also taken place in Lebanon, despite the appeals that have been made by the Israelis to carry out the evacuation as soon as possible so that they can carry out these strikes. But remember, despite the appeal that has been made by the Israeli forces as well as Benjamin Netanyahu about evacuation, it has essentially led to large-scale devastation in various parts of Beirut. Let me also go across to Republic reporter Ali Hamosh, who's joining us from Beirut. Ali, yet another update now coming in from the Israeli Defense Forces that a precision strike was carried out just a short while back in central Beirut. While they claim that Hezbollah military targets were on the radar, as we understand, as you have been reporting from the ground, civilians have also lost their lives. There have been large-scale devastation that has taken place in various parts of central Beirut. Why don't you walk us through the details that you're picking up?
Yes. I would just like to clarify something, that the Israeli strikes on Beirut are anything but precision strikes. They have been targeting massive civilian areas. They have been targeting massive civilian gatherings, residential buildings, shops. I speak from personal experience at this point. Lots of my colleagues' houses, civilians and journalists and technical workers have been struck. I can talk about shops, purely civilian shops. We're talking supermarkets, barber shops and such that have been struck. The idea of these precision strikes are fundamentally false from what I have been seeing in Beirut and from the amount of damage. I saw some footage in your report that showcased a large-scale damage of civilian buildings. So how can this be a precision strike? In regards to the most recent strike that occurred barely moments ago, we're talking about a few minutes only, they have targeted also 3 to 4 civilian areas considered which are Al-Gondolin area. It's a roundabout, As-Safara. It's another close to the Kuwaiti embassy. They targeted in the proximity of the Medina Riyadiyya, the sports city, and other areas. I'm still picking up on details. Nothing has been set in stone. The situation is very intense, and the strikes are very intense. So I have yet to get all the information, but the 3 areas that I've mentioned have been almost definitely, or most definitely, struck. I'm still following up. They've struck a building near Al-Zahra Hospital, one of the central hospitals in Beirut, and one of the main hospitals that treats injured civilians after the latest attacks. So it is clear that Israel is attempting to target now the medical infrastructure and the medical division of the Lebanese government and the Lebanese society in order to cripple the society and inflict as much damage to the society, not Hezbollah, because Hezbollah.
Ali, can I just get a quick update from you also?
The civil society has a different structure overall.
Ali, sorry to interrupt you, but for many of our viewers to get us a glimpse of what's really happening in Beirut, I'll just request you if you could just turn over your camera a little bit and perhaps show us the areas. This may not be one of the areas that may have come under the precision strikes, yes, but just give us a sense of what's really happening around you as you're reporting from central Beirut.
Yes, as you can see, that's all I can give you right now. This is a somewhat distant area where people are fleeing from the attacks. There has been a bit of traffic due to the situation. It has lessened, but at the roundabout, a bit behind me, don't know if you can see it, there's a major traffic due to the pressure of people fleeing or relocating or being displaced by the attacks. So in large parts, almost in full parts, these are civilian areas being targeted, and the essential targets are civilian in an attempt to create a rift in the Lebanese society and between Hezbollah and the government, and to push it further away from its own societal base.